Soul Sonograms, a soul-strengthening schedule. In this season of self-isolation, do you feel like Freddie Mercury when he sang, "I've done my sentence but committed no crime"? How do we cope with feeling imprisoned in this time, with having our lives and our schedules upended? Hi, I'm Dr. K.P. McKee, founder and executive director of a Spacious Place Creativity and Spirituality Center. As we walk through today's practice, we would love to hear from you and know how you are doing. You can send your questions or comments in your comment box on your computer or your mobile device. And for today, we just have a couple of simple supplies, just a piece of paper and some kind of writing utensil for you to take some notes if you choose to do so. So in the 5th century, there was a man named Benedict, and he lived in Italy. He created a rule, or in today's terminology, a guidebook or a schedule for the monks in his monastery. And the rule's purpose was to help the monks in their daily routine to live into their greatest love and their deepest allegiance, their highest value, which was for them relationship with God. So perhaps we can reframe this time not as prison time, because in self-isolating we're not being punished. We are acting in love for ourselves and our neighbors. Let's think about this instead as cloistered time, a time when we can tune our daily lives to our greatest love and our highest value. So, Benedicts Rule divided the day into times for work, study, and rest or restoration. Let me start back here at the beginning, sorry. So if we can look at it kind of on a graph like this, these were the way the day was divided up, but the focus was on prayer in all of these things. So the focus was no matter what you were doing, you were aware of your relationship with God. It's important for us humans, especially in a time of crisis, to have some kind of structure for our days. So I have some ideas here based on Benedict's Rule that you can adjust to your needs and for your soul and when applicable for your family's soul. So let's just kind of walk through this here. Here are some ideas. So in the morning, we begin the morning with prayer. Before we even get out of bed, we can give the coming day to God. We can ponder 3 blessings that we have in the now. And we can breathe deep. 3 deep breaths before you get out of bed. And if you want to, those breaths can also be a mantra like we talked about last time. And then I wanted to be sure that we included exercise, which for some people may be considered a work, and for some people rest and restoration. However you understand it, this is an important part of our time when we are in our cloister time. For the monks, they were busy. They did manual labor, keeping the monastery going and harvesting and planting their crops. So what are we going to be doing in this time when we are self-isolating? Just some suggestions. If we get to go outside, we can walk, run, bike, and garden, and do our yard work. If we are inside, we can do yoga, aerobic dance, choreography, martial arts, and what I like to call homework instead of chores, because we are working to make the walls and ceilings and floors of the place where we live not just a building, but a home. And that may help us with our attitude toward our chores. And it'd be great to think about doing a choreography with your family. Come up with a dance routine that you could do. That would be a great way to do some family time. All right, I want to be sure I'm just turning a page at a time. All right, so let's look at things that are specifically work. If you are where you are working from home, you obviously have job assignments you want to do, and you want to specify a place for that. Also, homework, as I was talking about before, this would be a time to organize a space that needs organizing. Maybe a closet each day, or a portion of a home office, or some things in your bedroom that need to be organized. Time for cleaning things like baseboards and refrigerators and stoves, those things that take some time, and we often, when we are out of the house, don't have that time. A time to shred and recycle things that need to be put away and reused in a different way. And then also, this might be a time to do some home improvements, some things that you haven't had time to do before. Also, we are doing some cooking and baking more when we are at home. I know a lot more people are baking bread because there is that time to let the yeast rise if you're doing yeast bread. And just with that in mind, just a reminder, every Tuesday we're doing our healthy home cooking with simple, accessible recipes that you can do with your children if you would like to. And then also, childcare is a work that is very important for us to be doing right now. All right, study. So what are some things we can do to divide part of our day into study? And of course, we can adapt these times to our own rhythms and do these things in whatever order we choose to do. You can learn a new skill, something you've been meaning to get around to, or a new subject, something that you have always wanted to study and have not had the time or space to do. You can form a new healthy habit, and we talked about some ideas for that last week. Read a chapter a day in a good book. This would be a time to get around to that book that you have been thinking about for so long to read. Practice a musical instrument, if that's something that you are interested in doing. You can participate in an online course or a webinar. And there's always the TED Talks that are online, and there are some free courses that are available now that you could take. What about rest? And I also like to look at this as restoration. So Benedict encouraged the monks to rest every day, but he also said if they want to do some reading in their cloister cells, they were welcome to do that. So for some of us, doing something is restorative if it is something that feels like that for us. So I really, really encourage you to use this time to create. David was telling me about a librarian who arranged her books in her window as a rainbow for people who walked by to see. I've seen chalk art out on the sidewalks. Artists in Austin are doing art on boarded up buildings. So think about a way you, in your space, can do some creating. And it can be as simple as that baking that we were talking about earlier. Take time for some deep breathing. Some breathing exercises are good for calming our body and restoring our souls. Watch a good film or a television show. Listen to music that you love and maybe sing along. That is very, very good for us. Singing is a great way to alleviate depression especially. Play a board game with the ones that are in your family space who you're sharing time with. It's a good way to build relationships. Relish a shower and a bath. Take time to just savor the feel of that. This is something that we have in the now that we can enjoy and will be refreshing to us. And then we can end our day with a bedtime pillow prayer. And then we can entrust the day whatever it brought. And I know we've had plenty of hard news. But before we go to bed, let's give it to God. And then we can ponder again 3 blessings that we have in the now. And we can breathe deep. So I wanted to share with you before we look at this part some additional resources that you might be interested in. If you are interested in Benedict, there is his rule that you can get that is for the monastery that he started. I mentioned last time Joan Chittister's Wisdom Distilled from the Daily. She is just an awesome writer and a Benedictine. So this book is based on the Benedictine rule, and there's a great deal more to it than we went into today. I just kind of hit the surface. And then my dear friend and mentor, Corinne Ware, wrote the book St. Benedict on the Freeway about applying the rule of St. Benedict to our daily lives out in the world. So those are all great resources. I also want to let you know that this is Holy Week. We began today with Palm Sunday. So each day from now on, I'm going to be reading at 2:30 Central Daylight Time, this time every day of Holy Week. So Monday through Saturday of this week a portion of my book, When God Walks Away, because it is about a hard time on our spiritual journey, but the metaphor is based on Holy Week. So it will be applicable to you if that is a part of your faith journey. And hopefully some things in it will be helpful to you if you are a person of another faith. And Easter Sunday, we will be here at the same time, 2:30 Central Daylight Time, and we will be celebrating what is in the moment. And I also want to remind you of our prayer wall, and I'm going to leave this up so that you can see it. We would really appreciate it if you would visit it and post a prayer, and then we will be responding to your prayer and inviting others to do the same so that we can be strengthened in our connection with one another. And then the things that I was talking about, like the healthy home cooking, you can find on our Facebook page. So I am going to leave that up so you can take a look at that too. If you like this, if you found it helpful, please do like it on Facebook. You can rewatch it on Facebook, YouTube, or on our site, www.aspaciousplace.com. And we would love to hear from you. I think it's very important for us to stay connected in these hard times. And I am going to close with a prayer from When God Walks Away. And I just wanted to remind you that as we make our way day by day through this crisis, we are champions, my friends. Let's pray. You have rested me from the sureties of my past. Give me the strength to live inside the mysteries of today, God. Amen.